Choose Life Nation. This is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach from thereboundcoach.com, and you are watching or listening to another episode of the Rebound Coach Live. Y'all, it has been a long time. It's been a long time since I have come live via these channels. I have been working on some things. I've been in transition. I've even been emailing. If you are not on my email list and you want to be, because those folks got to hear from me every single week, most weeks. So if you would like to stay up to date with what I'm doing, different events and things I'm hosting or will be speaking at, or different things going on, and you want to be a part, please reach out. You can reach out via the stream you're watching this on. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook and you're watching this there, you can reach out to me there and just say, hey, add me in. Here's my email address. Or you can reach out to me via email, dallas@thereboundcoach.com. That is dallas@thereboundcoach.com. And I'll be happy to add you on. And so you'll continue to hear from me whether or not I am going live via social media or not. You'll be able to hear from me. And y'all, I was challenged today to go live. And so that's why I am here. So shout out to my mentors for just giving that little prod and that little nudge and say, you know what, it's time to do this again. And so I'm pretty excited. I will not be here long. This is not going to be our normal longer live stream or podcast, but I want to just share just a tiny bit, y'all. If it's been a while, I know I haven't posted in a while. I haven't gone live. So maybe you're new here. And if you are, again, I want to say thank you for being here. There's lots of faces and places and voices on the interwebs vying for your attention. So it is an honor to have you here, even as you're watching the replay. And again, my name is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach. And if you're not sure what that is, I help people get unstuck. Specifically, I serve high-achieving women of faith who have been through betrayal or trauma or abuse and would like to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. Of course, that comes because I had my own story. I was married to a man for 10 years who wanted me dead. And that's a scary thing, and it was absolutely true. He almost had his opportunity, but God, okay? It didn't make a whole lot of sense for someone like me who had been raised in a Christian home. I had godly parents, loved God, loved each other, married for a lifetime. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to 16. And that radically affects, number one, how you see yourself. Those are identity forming years. It affects how you relate to God in a household of faith. And it affects how you relate to men. And so fast forward, I met the man that I married and eventually divorced. And y'all, trouble came right away. Look, I'm a praying woman. I believe that when I prayed about, is this person for me? I believed God's answer was yes. And because of that, I believe that whatever came, we would outlast it. We'd overcome it. God would swoop in and save the day. And all I had to do was be a good wife and pray and do my part. And so that's what I set out to do. And I did the best I could at that. Definitely not perfectly, but the best I could for 10 years solid. Y'all, trouble came right away and never quite left. We got into a cycle of what I call coping and crisis. So this is where you never quite get to good or satisfied or okay or safe or healthy. Never get to those places. Just a survival place. You know, you're coping. You're walking on eggshells. You're trying to keep all the rules, even though the rules keep changing. You're doing your best to pacify and stay safe. Keep your kids safe, right? So you do that for a while, and then somehow a crisis erupts, right? And we did that cycle. So the crisis erupts, your whole life schedule, family dynamic is in pieces on the floor. And then you have to very carefully reassemble the house of cards. So it's kind of how we lived for over 9 years, almost 10. And then the biggest crisis of all happened. He left for another woman. There had been serial adultery throughout the entire marriage. But this time he left for another woman, and I found out the next day he and that woman had been plotting my murder um, for months by the time I found out about it. So, needless to say, that is the record scratch moment. That's like, I can't believe this is happening. How did this become my life? This is that this is that moment. And I had some important decisions to make, and I had a lot of questions, and I had a lot of emotions because I was pretty upset in general about a lot of stuff. And essentially, I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had planned for me, and if I'm honest, the identity I had agreed to, not by marrying him, but by staying married and staying in a situation where I knew there was adultery, but I didn't, and we had separated a few times too, but not, I didn't make a hard no, right? So that is allowing. I had allowed and agreed to a particular identity that would tell me how I was allowed to be a mom or a wife, or a child of God or a woman. All how many days I had left on the planet. He had a death date planned for me that he had written down and communicated to our children. Or I could choose life. And so out of that entire situation, clearly I am still here. You and I get to have this moment together, and I believe there's purpose in the moment. And so from that season, I wrote a book. It's my second book. It's a memoir. It is called I Choose Life: Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. It's not only about a abusive marriage, although that's definitely a part of it, but it goes, I go back further, because when we talk about your love story, it's about how you learned to love and how you learned to be loved. And that is a story that existed before you met a romantic partner. And so I go back and deal with what are the precursors that set someone up for an abusive relationship? What are the mindsets that help someone stay? What are the mindsets that help someone leave? How can you support someone you love that may be in an abusive situation? All of that is in here. So you can find this at the reboundcoach.com/book. That is the reboundcoach.com/book. You can get one of these paper copies that I can send out to you, or you can get a copy from Amazon that I can't sign because they come from Amazon, or you can get an electronic copy as well. Again, all of that information is at the reboundcoach.com/book. Okay, so I am excited to tell you. Like I said, it's been a while since I've come live for one of these episodes. Just life has shifted for me, and it's been a minute. And so someone challenged me, a mentor of mine challenged me to go live and talk about why I coach. Why am I a coach? And I have been a coach in some shape or form for over 20 years, over about 24 years to be exact, which is pretty cool. Um, and different seasons, different coaching focuses, different things throughout my life. But I've always been that kind of people helper person. And it's important to not just do things, but to know why you do a thing. And that why helps you make wise decisions. When you're presented with opportunities, when you know your why, it helps you choose what's most aligned with you. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about why it is that I'm coaching and what this is about for me. So I think it's so important. I serve high achieving women of faith. Y'all, we get a lot done and we serve a lot of people. And I know what it feels like to be a leader in every circle in your life and not have a safe place to land. And that has nothing to do with whether or not someone is married. I've been married, I've been not married. It has been the same. Where you just feel like there's no safe place for me to rest. There's no safe place for me to tell the whole truth, to say how I'm feeling and not be judged or not have that affect a responsibility. If you're the leader in every group, if you're in charge in every space, if you're the smartest person in the room, the weight and responsibility to keep up appearances is very heavy. And there's just not a space to be like, you know what, I'm not having a good day today. Or all the insecurities that women carry. You'd be surprised the smartest, most powerful people in the room can struggle with imposter syndrome, just feeling like somebody's going to find out I don't have it all together. Somebody's going to find out that I fail at things. Somebody's going to find out I'm not good at this. And there's constant self talk, negative self talk that can be torturous. So when there's not a safe place to be heard or be seen, those burdens just go on day after day, month after month, year after year, and eventually can become illnesses. That's not just imposter syndrome, but like trauma and self-doubt and just negative emotions that don't have a place to express themselves safely. They just end up hurting us. And so I think it's just so valuable to give people space just to be heard without judgment. And coaching provides that for people. Just, you know what do you have to say? And you're allowed to say it with your full chest. You're allowed to say anything you need to say. And I really enjoy giving people that space. And not so there's a difference between a coach and a best friend, right? So your best friend might listen, but your best friend is like, yeah, let's do the revenge plot, right? Or, let's do ice cream or some other comforting thing because they're your friend. A coach doesn't always comfort. Sometimes a coach confronts. Sometimes a coach is bringing truth. One of the slogans I have for the Rebound Coach is real love, raw truth, and radical results, because I believe it comes in that order. Showing real love to a person, giving them space to breathe and space to be, bringing them the truth, the whole truth, and that produces radical results. And so that's what I bring with coaching, and I really enjoy bringing that space. So when women are heard, when people are heard, they can heal. It allows them that space to work through whatever it is they need to work through, and to let the process breathe. When you're constantly taking care of responsibilities, you're constantly taking care of kids, you might take care of a husband, you might have a job, you might have volunteer responsibilities, whatever it is. If you're doing, there's no space to be and breathe and listen to your body and listen to your heart and listen to the Holy Spirit and listen to anything other than your to-do list, right? So when people are heard, they can heal. And when healed people make for healthy relationships, they make for healthy parents, they are healthy spouses, healthy families that create healthy communities, that build healthy generations. And I love the idea of legacy and leaving a legacy that matters. And that happens when we are healing. And I'll say that instead of healed, because I think in our American mindset, we're very linear in thought. There's a beginning, a middle, and end to everything. And if you're not at the end, you haven't arrived, you don't have it together yet. And you're waiting to give yourself permission to feel good about yourself, or waiting for, I don't know whose approval, but you can approve of yourself right here at this station in life where you are, in the season of life where you are, because healing is a journey, not a destination. And being in action, in movement toward healing is so much better than not. And there's lots of folks who are not, they're just checking their boxes and doing their thing day to day and not even trying. So if you're here, if you're hanging out with us, Choose Life Nation, that means we are on the way to healing, through healing, and level by level, or glory to glory. If you know, you know. So, so those are a couple reasons why I coach. Now, I also host events. So, in addition to one on one private coaching or group coaching, I also host events. I am naming them sacred ceremonies because indeed they are. They're celebrations, sacred spaces, and healing rituals for wounded souls, for broken hearts, for people who are on the mend intentionally. And when I think about why I do that, having a safe space, so providing that safe space to be seen, to be heard, to be known and loved, um, it and even to grieve. you know so often trauma happens, and because life doesn't stop, we just keep going. Life doesn't stop. You have to still do whatever it is you're responsible for doing, and so we do our best to survive, to cope, to get ourselves together enough to keep going. And while that serves an immediate purpose, it doesn't serve the end goal of becoming a whole person, a healed person. And you need space for that. You just need space. You just need space where you're not required to do anything else. And the events that I am honored to host provide that space. You're if I come to do something for a couple of hours, for a half a day, or our 3-day weekends called Sanctuary Experience, either one of those, it is sacred space to breathe, to grieve, to hear yourself. Full stop. Sometimes we don't hear ourselves. We're hearing so much noise. And I, for one, am very good at plugging the air with noise. There's a lot of media, there's a lot of places where people are talking to me through a screen or singing or whatever. There's lots of space to fill the air with noise and not hear our own hearts. And you might be afraid of what you hear if you got quiet enough. And I understand that, but you don't have to do it alone. That's what sacred ceremonies is all about. It gives that space to be heard and seen and grieve and cry and scream and cuss if you wanna, without being judged or looked down on, or like no one's going to interpret that for you. You just get to express who you are and what you need to express. So providing those spaces, it's really important. And for leaders, for high achieving women, to put down that leadership cape, the superwoman cape that you carry around all the time, that shows everybody how accomplished you are, how smart you are, how capable you are, how hardworking you are, all of those things. To be able to put those things down and just be a person who doesn't have to perform and doesn't have to have it right and doesn't have to have it all together. I think that's a gift. And it's one of my favorite gifts to give. Um, to give people space to honor the moments in life. So celebrating things that have happened before, big milestones, past milestones that are worth celebration that maybe you never celebrated. I got to attend a birthday party for a wonderful woman who just turned 75, who had not had a birthday party before. No one had thrown her a birthday party. And so this was the first in 75 years that she got to have a party. How cool is that? So providing spaces for celebrations, for milestones, to celebrate accomplishments that would otherwise just go unnoticed, right? Milestones to give space for grief at the end of a season, for uncoupling or disavowing from prior seasons, from prior relationships, from things that the season has passed, but you never went back and dealt with whatever it is. So giving space for those things and in sacred ceremonies, and to give someone permission to take up space. So often we're, you know, women especially just try to minimize because everyone else is more important. Everyone else is more important. And I think even the voice that says, you know, nobody cares about you, they just care about themselves. So let's, you know, keep them in the forefront. Um, you matter. You matter, and you're allowed to take up space. And the events that I facilitate for others or I host on my own are spaces where people can take up space. So if you have a milestone coming up or something that you have that went by and was never recognized, right? If something went by and it was never recognized, let's celebrate. Let's honor. You know, even when we lose loved ones, we want to honor their memory. You can honor the memory of a season that has passed in your life, for an accomplishment, for a relationship. If you spent a long time in a marriage that wasn't healthy and you're out now, legally out or physically out, but that still those emotional ties, those soulish realm ties, those spiritual ties don't automatically come apart because you signed a different paper. Sometimes you have to go back and spiritually, emotionally, mentally deal with what happened and your response to what happened, and allow that pain to express itself, allow that anger, the fear, the confusion, the um, regret, all of it should have its space to breathe. And sacred ceremonies, one of them, is a way we can do that. So I am facilitating events for individuals who have some celebrations, who need a sacred space to process something with people who love them and want to listen to them, and healing rituals as well. So, milestone birthdays, ministry events, retreats, day of healing, meditation sessions, which is really sacred space to hear from the Holy Spirit about your life. Not hearing from a preacher, not hearing from a YouTube personality, but hearing from the Holy Spirit, giving intention for that. If you want to get better at that, meditation sessions is the way to do it. Celebrations of life and spiritual bridal preparation. So, preparing a person, a woman, for being a bride, being a wife in a spiritual sense. And so, we're doing all of those fun things. If you have a celebration that you would like you would like me to facilitate for yourself or for someone you care about, please get in contact with me. You can reach me at the contact page of the reboundcoach.com. You can also reach out to me via these social media channels that you may be viewing this on, whether you're live with us or on the replay. You can reach out via DM and say, hey, I'd like to know more about these sacred ceremonies, because it's something really important to have intimate sacred spaces to handle life, and instead of life handling us, because it will. Life will handle us if we don't handle it, and we can. So let's do that. All right. Thank you so much for listening, watching. I really do appreciate your time, spending your time with me. Again, I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach from thereboundcoach.com. And until next time, choose life.